Well, after our last grueling game, let's see whether or not Dash can make it to a 3-2 record as I go against our next opponent, Dat Wheezy. And we're going to see whether or not Dash can take on a hero that I have yet to personally see in the Clash format being played, Shiyana, Diamond Gemini. A very interesting hero choice, and I'm very curious to see how she plays in the game. So let's go ahead and check out that game as I am on Dash, my opponent being on Shiyana for Game 5 of the Clash Bash Part the Mistveil season. All right, here we are waiting for opponent again. We are on Dash. Nothing has changed as far as my deck construction. We are simply going to be running the goods here. So we have Dat Wheezy over here on Shiyana. Shiyana hero. I've been personally looking to see how she works in the format, but it is really cool to see such powerful, the legendary heroes making their way in. So nothing on my end changes as far as things are concerned. I am aware that Shiyana can run arcane damage cards because Kano does have specializations that utilize that, but I'm not really worried about it. Again, my whole plan is just do a ton of damage and hope to not die first. So Shiyana is going to go ahead and do their thing. They are going to be going first, and I believe it's probably just a lot of setup, if I were to recall. Their equipment suite is just crazy. They have Good Time Chapeau for their headpiece, a Betsy specialization, Aurum Aegis for their Victor specialization as an offhand, and then Flail of Agony, a Vincent specialization as their main weapon. The thing with Shiyana is that Shiyana is able to use any specialization from any hero, so it's a really, really fun thing to play in Clash where specializations are legal to be played. My hand, though, is just pretty simple. I'm going to come in with damage, right? I'm going to make sure they can't block with that headpiece at all by coming in with Scramble Pulse. It doesn't really make it so they can't block with it. But I did just win a Clash there, if you notice. I ended up getting a Clash. They had a Victor Goldbane Estate on top. So now I have a gold. And now I'm going to come in with a wonderful little Throttle. So we're dealing 11 on our first turn. And I get to just comfortably arsenal this other Throttle that I'm going to hope to utilize on my future turns. You saw they were trying to block with Aurum Aegis, but Aurum Aegis only blocks for 1 in that situation, which means that it more than likely would have died if it were to be blocked. That's kind of the cool thing about this, is that temper equipment, if it blocks and it only blocks for 1, it will be destroyed. This is a Bet Big. This is a Betsy specialization coming in for really, really go tall kind of Shiyana, it seems. And for 10 damage, I think personally in this situation, I probably should have blocked a little bit more here. This is not dominated or overpowered, right? Betsy's ability allows her to overpower any wager abilities, but this is not overpowered. And my opponent would just get a Vigor, a Might, and a Gold out of this. But I have an all red hand. But I still need to try and do some kind of damage. Like, damage still needs to happen on my end. And so because of that, I decide, yeah, you know what? Like, do I really care about the fact that you get all of these things? I'm not entirely sure. It turns out, though, that on top of them doing this for free, they also are coming in with an Up the Ante. Now, Up the Ante, you can choose X plus 1. This is going to also wager for another Vigor token. So they're going to have 2 Vigor. They could have buffed it by 3, but instead they are going to get another Vigor token. So now Vigor, 2 Vigor, 1 Might, an Agility, and a Gold. Or maybe it gave them the Agility. I can't quite remember. But really, really powerful in that regard. I have to, in my turn, though, just try to crack back with as much damage as I can. They have 13 health. I have 10. So all like half my health gone in that one move. And I could have popped the gold to possibly try and get a blue, but I feel like I would have lost out on a lot of value in that situation. So here I am blocking with a panel beater, expecting that if they are going to block any of my stuff with equipment, that they have to do it through this means. And here I went, well, I could play Lay Waste, which means it can't be defended by equipment, or I could try to block out and do some high-speed impact for some more damage. High Speed Impact is going to comfortably be blocked because they have Aura Magus and Good Time Chapeau. So it's not going to be too bad. They're going to be able to block that out. I think High Speed Impact is probably the card I might cut from this list if I ever have to. But then I get to go ahead and come in with either a Throttle, or I get to do a 0 for 60 and then keep a Lay Waste in my hand for the case in which I might need to use it. But I don't want to IP myself. I kind of want to throw the Throttle. I kind of want to Talishar. I'm not sure what I want to do. But Throttle might be the better move because they are at 6. So they do have to defend if with cards. They only really need to defend with 1. But I'm trying to maximize my damage in this situation, and I just don't know if it's going to work out in my favor. So I hit the good old 0 to 60. They have not blocked with a single card in their hand yet, which is just feels bad for me, honestly. But who knows, right? We'll see what happens overall. They block with the Goldmane Estate. They take 1. I can't do anything with the card in my hand, and I'm just determining whether or not I want to use my headpiece because I have boosted. I could use the headpiece, but the only thing I can bring back is a Scramble Pulse and a Throttle. So I'm determining whether or not it's worth my time to keep a red in hand or not. Now, the unfortunate part about this hand is that we pull 2 non-blocks, a Technical Core and a Penetration Script. I only have 5 items in this deck, and 2 of them are in my hand right now in a pretty pivotal turn because they have all these effects that are popping. They've got Agility, they've got Might, they've got 2 free Vigor, which they use to pop a gold to draw another card. It is just really working out for them here. So Soul Harvest is going to come out. They're going to banish a whopping 6 cards from their grave, and it'll get 1 point of damage for each card with Blood Debt. So you got nothing because there's no other Blood Debt, but this is coming in for 6. If it hits a hero, you banish all cards from their soul and they lose HP equal to that. Doesn't really matter in this situation because I don't have a soul, and I'm not really worried about it, but this is still 7 go again, 2 cards in hand, and I can't really do too much in this regard. So I'm determining, do I just block this out and wait for them to run out of dumb, silly things that they have in their deck and then decide to come in for more? They pummel me, which feels bad, but also not terrible because in this situation, I can still Throttle and then Talishar. So I take a little bit of damage there, and then my turn is simply going to be a wonderful Throttle and then boost into Talishar, trying to deal 10. They only have 2 points of armor available left to them, so they're going to have to either use them wisely or use cards in their hand. This is a pretty big pivotal situation here, but I think I have them on the ropes. Right? I have them on the ropes as far as these things go, and I really want to make it happen. They block with the Chapeau, so they obviously don't care about that. I get to come in with Talishar. Talishar is going to make sure to block out as much damage as possible with any card in their hand. They still have a 2-card hand, so they can still do something, but I don't know what that something could be. It seems they're doing a very go tall strategy with Shiyana right now. So if they have things like any Vincent specializations or more big Guardian specializations, it could very well be bad for me. Now, they play an Energy Potion. That's their turn as Energy Potion. But my hand is kind of okay, right? I have the Spark of Genius, which I know I'll be able to use. I've got Throttle, I've got Outpace. So I'm going to try and hit some breakpoints here and hope for the best. There's no point in me playing T-Bone because they don't have any armor really to block with, even though it does come in for 0. So my goal here is just, again, to try and provide as much damage as possible. This very well could be a Outpace into a Throttle, into a Achilles Accelerator, into a Spark of Genius, drawing a card, and then going for the best. Or, well, Spark of Genius, and then drawing a card, and then figuring it out from there. But we have to present a ton of damage. They have a Sink Below, so that's unfortunate for us. We have Throttle that we can come in with here. We've got 2 floating resources here. We do also have a gold. We could have drawn a card off of said gold instead of waiting, and then pitched the Spark of Genius to Throttle. That would have been pretty cool. But I would like to get some more resource generation if I'm trying to rip stuff out of their hand, just so I have a good safety net. So here I go ahead, I'm going to pop the Achilles Accelerator. I'm just making sure Spark of Genius is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So I'm not really a dash main, so I'm just trying to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. I go ahead and play this. I know I have a Teklo Core in my deck, so I go ahead and get Teklo Core, and then I get to draw a card. But the card I draw is a Panel Beater. I can't do anything with this card. I don't have, all these 0 to 60s in my deck. Can't play them. But turns out, it just is what it is. I have a pretty good hand now, and now I have a payload, which means that I get to get that extra point of damage unless they have a D-React in Arsenal. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm like, this is going to be good. They pop the potion and they pop the and they pitch a Showtime to come in with an overpowered Golden Sun, breaking their shield, which is a gold, for 10. Unfortunately for me, I'm at just the perfect amount of block to where that deals 7 damage and I die. At this point, the Cogworks base head has failed me, and I can no longer commit to any of that. I don't run D-Reacts. So because my Spark of Genius failed me, I lose the game. It was a very close game between myself and Datweezy. It was just it was so intricate, and Shiyana really has so much kit available to herself, being able to just pop in any specialization at all, and especially with Golden Sun. The Golden Sun being able to comfortably pitch 4 and come in and deal 10 overpower is great against aggro decks. This is a very go tall version, very Guardian focused kind of deck. Guardian and Brute focused, dealing with a lot of illusionist problems and so on and so forth, but really, really well played deck. I had 1 point. If I had 1 point more of damage to be able to get through, if I'd been able to block 1 point, if that helm if instead of having the Cogworks base helm, I instead had an Iron Wrought helmet, it would have been a completely different game. But instead it was not, and I lost because of it. So make sure your armor blocks, folks, because that's really what it's about these days. So thank you all so much for watching. That was a Shiyana game into myself. I'm now officially 2-3 in the MST Clash Bash season. So I don't know if top 8's exactly where I'm seated to be right now, but we'll see what my next game is like and whether or not it ends up happening for me, if I end up making some breakers or something like that. But I think for the most part, top 8 is going to our best of the best, and we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. Obviously, we have one more game left of the season of Swiss, and then we move into top 8. So very excited to see what our next game is going to contain, and hopefully you are too. If you want to see that last game of Swiss, and then eventually maybe even our top 8, you can always go ahead and join our Discord in the description down below. We have a Discord. You can also make sure to hit the like button for this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. You can even become a channel member if you want. That gets you great access to, one, just being able to support the channel. If you are in your gold tier, you get your name shouted out here, so thank you, Jonathan Bowers, for that. You also get access to our podcast, The Common Language, earlier than everybody else does. So if you enjoy the podcast that we are doing, please make sure to go ahead and support the channel through those means. But if you can't do any of that, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about Shiyana. See whether or not she's something that might be a terror in Clash, because I certainly think she's got a lot going for her, and I'd be very curious to see how she ends up in the top tables in the Clash Bash season. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, I do appreciate your support more than you will ever know, and I hope you continue having fun in the flesh and blood. And I will see you all for our next and final match of Swiss, where I hopefully can get a nice little redemption and at least go neutral on my win-loss ratio. But we'll see you all in that next game for the Clash Bash Part the Mistveil season, and I hope you have a great one. Nerd out.